Today, Florence School of Regulation is making conference on energy priorities for next period. And in the whole of debate, usually, well, we know what is Commission doing, what is European Parliament doing, but we very seldom really to address the cornerstone of it, because all the policies should be implemented in member states. And we are very happy that Energy Minister from Hungary joins this conference, because at the end of the day, whatever decided on European level comes on the national level. And the first question definitely is for your country. What is the situation in Hungary with energy situation, security of supply, competitiveness, and also what's this climate change objective? How this process is going?
Indeed, it's my pleasure to be here at this great conference of the Florence School of Regulation. Coming to your question, I have to say that, well, today Hungary has energy system and energy markets which provide safe services for final customers, and we also implemented the actual directives and introduced competition into our electricity and gas markets, which I have to say are functioning very well. Now, the great challenge for the Hungarian energy economy is that, as it is the case for the EU as a whole, we are very much import dependent. So the import dependence of Hungary on, for example, natural gas, which is a very important fuel of us, is like 80%, for oil 90%. So we are not a rich country in traditional energy resources, so we have to rely on imports. And then our main objective now, when we are working on our new national energy strategy, is finding ways how to strengthen the energy independence of the country, which could mean to moderate at least our import dependence, and then whatever left for importing in oil and gas, we should go for the diversification of sources. So that's the, let's say, the overall objective of our new national energy strategy, which also has a title that the strategy would like to provide clean, smart and affordable energy for Hungarian consumers. Now, maybe a little bit more on what do we mean on this very general objective of clean, smart and affordable energy. We essentially define 4 areas where we want to go ahead with our energy policies. The first major pillar or program for us is to put the final consumer into the center of our policy. We want to provide energy, larger or enhanced energy independence, not only at the national level, but also at the individual level. So let households, if they can, produce the energy from local renewable resources, form energy communities to serve local settlements with abundant local renewable resources they might have, and provide them for more choice and option, but at the same time keep energy prices at an affordable level. That's a very important objective of us. Now, our second major program point is to enhance our supply security, which is a very traditional energy policy objective. And here we think that replacing imports with local resources like renewables, and even increasing the production of traditional hydrocarbons might help in reducing our import dependence in natural gas and oil, definitely. Otherwise, stronger market integration will do the rest of the job for supply security. So we are very much in favor of the market integration process that is ongoing in Europe. So we are full on board for a truly integrated European electricity and gas markets. Our third pillar for the program is decarbonizing our electricity sector, reflecting on European policies, but also on climate change impacts we experience. The Carpathian Basin and Hungary is very much vulnerable to climate problems. So we truly believe that decarbonization is the way ahead, especially in the electricity sector. So our focus will be on electricity sector decarbonization first, in a technology neutral way. So we not only promote renewables, but also nuclear, which is, by the way, at the European level, a more contradictory issue, perhaps. And finally, our fourth pillar for the strategy is to find ways how energy sector innovation, which is ongoing today, as we know, how energy sector innovation could enhance economic development in general in the country. So we are looking for ways to find innovation solutions where Hungarian companies, Hungarian people, Hungarian inventors could go beyond the energy sector and really add value in international markets through energy innovation.
Today, you will focus your speech about European vision for 2050. And at the same time, there is also an announcement by President-elect Ursula von der Leyen that there will be a Green Deal for Europeans. What would you expect that should be in this deal? What parts you would say, well, I would expect as a minister from Hungary that they would reflect on these particular issues?
Well, of course, I have no idea what the Green Deal document will include. So I might maybe only wish a few of those. I hope essentially it will be more concrete on what the priorities for the new Commission will be to essentially put together the policy path up to 2050, which is far away and which is only through 2030. So I think we also have to talk sometimes about 2030 and not only 2050. Now, if you ask about my let's say main points and opinion on where the priorities should be, maybe I would start by saying that as I see, maybe Europe should put electricity sector decarbonization into the heart of the policy. So I'm convinced that if you look at the different energy sectors in Europe, electricity sector is the heart for the decarbonization policy, because if we once have an abundance in decarbonized electricity, we can easily decarbonize transportation through electromobility and also partly decarbonize the heating sector by this. So I think electrification and decarbonizing the electricity sector maybe should be the focal point for going ahead. Now, I don't think it's an easy task. We often think that decarbonization of the electricity sector in Europe is an easy way, almost done. I think otherwise. I think this is a very bumpy way, and we have a lot to discuss on how to meet challenges like electricity network development, like what to do with nuclear, which is low carbon, and many other issues. And we also should have a plan. What happens if, with regard to electricity market decarbonization, we fail or we proceed less less as we wish. And so we have to have a plan B. And in this regard, I think natural gas should be considered as the major insurance against a failure in electricity sector decarbonization. If we want to avoid supply security problems in Europe, if, for example, coal and nuclear disappears from our electricity mix, which is a very, very, very risky scenario in electricity, then I think we should, or we could rely very much on natural gas. So in the short term or midterm, I would argue that the focus of the new Commission should be, in case of natural gas, more on completing the international market to enhance competition, and green gas issues in this regard could be secondary. So that's my second point. And the third maybe is that when talking about the long-term objectives of decarbonization, I would say that we should. This is clearly a very important issue, but we should not build our policy on a climate policy utopia. So we should not create like a fully decarbonized, production-wise fully decarbonized Europe as an island protected by carbon taxes, but careless about our emission impacts of consumption in the future. So we should be very careful on how and what kind of incentives we use to get closer to the common goal of a decarbonized Europe. We need a very careful discussion about carbon pricing, carbon border tax adjustments, and other incentives to get closer to this aim. But maybe it is already too much.
No, it's. I'm very grateful, Minister, what you have said. It's very clear that for the next commissions, they would need to come to some very difficult issues and spell it out, because at the early stage it's a bit easier. You spell out general objectives and you move. Now I think it will be very hard to nail things, how to do, what the priorities, and what are the risks involved. So my partner in today's conversation have been Peter Kaderják, Minister of Hungary for Energy Affairs and Climate Change Matters. Thank you very much, Peter.
Thank you very much.